Welcome to this special bonus explainer. If you've been feeling just completely overwhelmed lately by the endless chatter of the modern world, you're definitely in the right place. Today, we're diving into a really deeply practical guide on how to actually reclaim your attention and, more importantly, your inner clarity. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Noise and losing oneself, the cost of information noise. Think about it for a second. Every single day, we're just bombarded with this constant, heavy stream of information, breaking news, social narratives, and everyone else's opinions. It's not just annoying, it has a massive psychological cost. It actively pulls us away from our true center. So I really want you to ask yourself and sit with this. How can you possibly hear your own voice when the entire world around you is just screaming at you? It feels practically impossible to find your own truth when you're constantly being yanked around by all these external triggers, right? This whole dynamic brings up the fundamental formula of Sattvavadiya psychology, which illustrates this problem perfectly. It goes like this: X equals 0 plus A. Now, in this formula, the 0 represents our pure consciousness. That's our natural baseline state of perfect psychological health and total inner peace. But then we have A. A stands for all that external noise, the endless interpretations, the false identities, what ancient texts actually call adhyasa. So when our pure consciousness, our 0, gets buried under all that A, we end up with X. And X? Well, that's the reactive, anxious, false self that has completely forgotten its true nature. So looking at that, we're basically presented with two totally different ways of living. On one hand, you've got the reactive mind. This mind is just at the absolute mercy of all that external noise and fear we just talked about. But on the other hand, you have the anchored mind. This one is driven by free will and a deep, solid connection back to that pure consciousness, our 0 point. The really crucial takeaway here is that shifting from a reactive state to an anchored state, that's an active choice. It requires a deliberate act of will. Section 2. Breath as an act of will. Reclaiming the breath. Now we're going to look at a highly practical solution for this. And we're not talking about breath as some sort of abstract, esoteric magic here. We're looking at it as a deliberate, physiological anchor. This brings us to an incredible practice called Bhramari, which is famously known as bee breath. Basically, it's the active creation of an inner sound. And I really want to emphasize something important. This isn't just a simple relaxation trick you do right before falling asleep. It's an intentional, physical act of free will. By creating your own internal vibration, you are deliberately drowning out those external voices and generating your own signal to cut right through the noise. The actual science behind this is absolutely fascinating. When you perform Bhramari, that soft humming sound literally stimulates the production of nitric oxide in your body, and it activates your vagus nerve. You can kind of think of the vagus nerve as your internal receptive circuit. So by humming, you're sending this profound, immediate safety signal directly to your brain. This physiological response literally stops mental panic in its tracks, deeply calms your nervous system, and firmly brings all that scattered attention right back to your center.
Section 3. Practice, bee breath, experiencing the anchor.
All right, enough theory. How do we actually do this? I'm going to guide you through the steps so you can experience this powerful anchor firsthand. If you're in a safe place to do so, feel free to follow along with me right now. First, just sit comfortably with a straight back and gently close your eyes. Next, take a really calm, deep breath in, just right through your nose. And then on a prolonged, slow exhale, you're going to make a soft, steady humming sound. Just a simple kind of like the gentle buzzing of a bee. Now, as you continue to breathe and hum, I want you to direct all of your attention to the physical vibration that's happening right there in your body and echoing in your head. Allow your mind to literally dissolve into this sound. Let this physical action completely wash over you and drown out all those other thoughts. By doing this, you're making your own voice, your very own internal vibration, your ultimate anchor.
Section 4. Strengthening Driti and Buddhi, the power of the pause. Let's zoom out for a second and look at the macro impact of this practice on your holistic psychology. Essentially, Bhramari strengthens two vital internal forces in Ayurvedic psychology, Driti and Buddhi. First up is Driti. Think of Driti as your inner fortitude. It's that absolutely crucial ability to hold a pause between a trigger, like a sudden impulse, and your reaction to it. Cultivating this pause through a practice like Bhramari breath, that is exactly what frees us from living our whole lives on autopilot. It physically stops us from blindly reacting to every single demand the external world throws at us. And, actually holding that pause is exactly what allows true discernment to finally emerge. Which brings us to buddhi, our discerning intellect. When you strengthen your dhriti, your ability to pause, you're giving your buddhi the breathing room it desperately needs to guide your mind back to its pure zero state. This is that sweet spot where you can clearly see what is actually true, what's genuinely useful, and what is just destructive noise.
Section 5. The path to a clear life. Integrating the practice. So how do we actually take this ancient wisdom and translate it into modern professional mastery? Well, as taught by the creator of the axiomatic model of holistic psychology, Brahma Nityananda, also known as Nikolai Bond, true healing begins when we regain control over our attention and prana. The best part is, you don't have to navigate this journey alone. You can actually master these ancient, scientifically grounded methods professionally at the RIN Institute. They are currently accepting applications for higher education and professional retraining programs in psychology. In a world that is just totally overflowing with the noise of other people's opinions, creating your own inner silence really is the most profound act of free will. So make your own voice your anchor. Ask yourself this: if you don't anchor your mind with your own voice, whose voice is going to control it? Start cultivating clarity today.